Wanna be Ryan the Great, and today we are talking the NFL draft, guys. So yeah, a very interesting first round. What was it? 13 offensive players being taken in the very first team in the first 13 picks. The most offensive players taken in a row in any order in NFL history. So we had a crazy draft. Lots of things that were unexpected. So we're going to be breaking down every single pick. So we'll be talking about my winners and losers of this draft as well. So we're going to get right into it. But before we get right into it, guys, make sure you subscribe with the post notifications on. Go subscribe to my brother in the Great Blogs. Make sure you subscribe to my second channel at Ryan the Cod Great. Make sure you guys go follow me on X Ryan the Great RTG. Make sure you guys go follow me on TikTok at Ryan the Great RTG. Make sure you guys go listen to the latest edition of the Star 7 podcast. And make sure you guys go follow me on Twitch at Ryan the Great Podcast. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's read the video and let's roll that intro. Won't be Ryan the Great, and today it'll be intercepted! The defensive line. What the hell are you doing? No effort whatsoever when it came to the defense. That he is 0 for 2 today. Come on, Stotty. Stop! 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 Red slam! First pitch! Bring him in! Braxton! Stop! Woo! Ring that! Yes! Oh, damn. 1, 2, 3. What? Alright, let's go in the video. So the way we're going to do this is I have 3 winners and I have 3 losers. So if one of these teams that I discussed are on that list, I'm just going to say that at that time because that honestly makes the most sense. Anyway, at number 1 overall, the Chicago Bears take Caleb Williams, quarterback out of USC. They are one of my winners of this draft. So, obviously, Caleb Williams is going to be taken at the number 1 overall pick. I called Caleb Williams overrated coming into this draft because of the fact that you compared him to Patrick Mahomes. Nobody's like Patrick Mahomes, most likely ever. Maybe in like 20-something years. But don't compare him to Patrick Mahomes. Is he a good quarterback, and does he have the chance to be great? Yes, but don't compare him to Patrick Mahomes. Obviously his skill set's going to fit into every single offense in the NFL, but, the Bears, I think, have set him up very, very well for success with the amount of weapons that they have gotten around him, and then we'll be discussing, their pick at number 9. Number 2 overall, the Commanders select Jaden Daniels, quarterback out of LSU. Obviously, this is a bit ironic because the Commanders selected Robert Griffin III, who was a running quarterback, long time ago, and we saw what happened to Robert Griffin III. But I mentioned that, this is probably the right pick for the Washington Commanders. If you wanted to draft Drake May, he has a very similar skill set to Sam Howell, and you saw how Sam Howell produced with the Washington Commanders. Now, obviously, Drake May has a better upside than Sam Howell, but that sort of play style, I do not believe fits in well with the Washington Commanders. So you get a running quarterback who can throw on the run, who can get out of the pocket, something that you need in today's NFL. Jaden Daniels, the best possible option at number 2. I really like this pick, unfortunately. At number 3 overall, the New England Patriots take Drake May, quarterback out of North Carolina. I think May is probably the best pick for the New England Patriots right now. I don't think he'll start this season. Or next season. I don't think he'll play at all, maybe in the later half of the year, just so he can play through his mistakes. But, he obviously won't be put in there and having the pressure of you need to go win us a football game. That obviously will not be happening. In my opinion, I have some concerns about the way he moves his feet and the way he shuffles in the pocket. But that can obviously be fixed when you have, veteran quarterbacks like Jacoby Brissett that can help guide him through the way. He obviously has, an incredible arm. He does a good job of extending plays, but, he obviously will not be starting this year, but this probably was the best pick for the New England Patriots. At number 4 overall, the Arizona Cardinals elect to stay at their original spot and draft Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver out of Ohio State. Listen, when I talked about Marvin Harrison Jr., I was raving about him, obviously, because he went to St. Joe's Prep. But, this is the best receiver in the draft. You cannot cover him one-on-one. He can do everything. He can run any route that you need him to run. He's the best route runner in this draft. He has great hands. He can get up and go get the ball. Obviously, you're probably going to compare him to his father, but he's also, 5 inches taller than his father. I think that, the way that Kyler Murray moves and the fact that Kyler Murray can extend plays and get out of the pocket and the fact that Marvin Harrison Jr. did pretty well when C.J. Stroud was able to do that at Ohio State, I think those two are going to complement each other very, very well. I like this pick by the Arizona Cardinals. At number 5, the Los Angeles Chargers taking Joe Alt, offensive tackle, out of Notre Dame. Joe Alt is an outstanding prospect. I mean, he has size like really none other in this draft. 6'9", 321, but he can still move very, very fast. An outstanding pass blocker, something that the Chargers definitely need. He obviously has the footwork, he has the length, he has everything that you would want in a prospect. There's not much downside to Joe Alt. Now, is this a receiver? No. Did I want the Chargers to take a receiver? Yes, but this is not a bad pick by any means. You're going to have to figure out your receiver spot or your number one receiver spot sooner rather than later, because I don't think Quentin Johnson is ready for that. But anyway, good pick there. Number 6, the Giants taking Malik Nabers. This is obviously the right pick, wide receiver out of LSU. One of the best wide receivers in LSU history. We've obviously seen guys like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson come out of LSU and become superstars in the NFL. The Giants hoping to get that out of Malik Nabers. Taking a quarterback, in my opinion, would not have been a great idea for the New York Giants because you don't have anything. You don't have any weapons that you would put around a quarterback. Now, was I hoping that they would take a quarterback and essentially set themselves up for failure for the next 5 years? Yes, definitely. But this is obviously the right pick by the New York Giants. Daniel Jones has a true number 1 wide receiver now. Do I think Daniel Jones will be with the Giants after this contract? No, but can he try and improve his game and try to get a contract from maybe another team? Possibly. Number 7, the Titans taking J.C. Latham, offensive tackle out of Alabama. I was not a fan of this pick. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I really like the Fashanu out of Penn State. I think he's a better player than Latham. I had Latham going in the 20s, or maybe even the 30s. I don't really remember off the top of my head. Latham had a little bit of problems at Alabama. Obviously, in that Michigan game, I don't think he was dominant at Alabama, but in the biggest moments, he did not come up. That's my biggest problem there. Latham succeeds in, the run game. And the Titans are going to be passing the ball because they want to develop Will Levis into a very good passer. I'm not the biggest fan of this pick. I would have went with Fashanu, who's a very good pass protector. I don't think they're a loser because they got a position of need. I just don't like the guy that they took. Anyway, moving on to number 8, the Falcons taking quarterback Michael Penix out of Washington. They're a loser. They're obviously, so we have one winner, one loser. Penix is obviously a very good quarterback, but he's a project quarterback. That's the biggest problem. And he's had injuries in the past. It just doesn't make that much sense to me. You just paid Kirk Cousins $180 million. I understand what the Falcons are trying to do here. They're trying to get, that Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love situation. Same thing with Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts, where the quarterback sits behind, the veteran guy of some sort, and then they come in there and they become a superstar. Somewhat of a, I guess you could say superstar, what Love and Hurts have been able to do. I'm not a fan of this pick, but I understand the vision of what the Atlanta Falcons are trying to do. Obviously, the fan base and ownership are going to hate this pick, but it's a bad pick. It's a loser pick, but I understand the vision. Number 9 overall, obviously, I've had the Bears as my winner. We don't need to go over that again. Another Washington guy they took, but this time Rome Odunze, wide receiver. Oh my goodness, I almost fell out of my chair. This guy is a do-it-all. He can really do anything. He can run. He plays well in man coverage. And that's going to be something good because, there's not too many great corners in the NFC North, unless you want to say Terry and Arnold, but we'll get to the Lions later. There's not that many good one-on-one covers in the NFC North anymore. So, Odunze works out really well for the Chicago Bears. Obviously gives Caleb Williams another weapon. I think that he will work out very, very well. He's obviously going to start out as a wide receiver number 3, but eventually Keenan Allen will be moving on from the Chicago Bears. Doesn't have that many years left, so he can eventually turn into that wide receiver number 2. Number 10, the Vikings traded up with the New York Jets to get J.J. McCarthy, quarterback out of Michigan. I have the Vikings as another one of my winners in this draft because of the fact that teams, and including myself, were saying that the Vikings were going to trade up to number 4 overall to get J.J. McCarthy. You only trade up one spot. You don't give up that much capital to the New York Jets, and you get the guy that most people were saying that you were going to take. People don't really like J.J. McCarthy that much. I think he's a game manager, but in my opinion, that's not a big insult. Do you see what game managers have been doing in, these past couple of seasons? Jalen Hurts, people call him a game manager, whether you want to debate that or not. He went to the Super Bowl. Brock Purdy, also called a game manager. Once again, whether you want to debate that or not, went to the Super Bowl. Dak Prescott, Tua Tagovailoa. These guys are called game managers by some people and are taking their teams to the playoffs. So game manager is not the worst, label to have put on you in the NFL. I don't know why that's such a big insult. Obviously, he can get out of the pocket. He can run. Obviously, throwing is, a cause for concern a little bit. He's not that good on the deep ball. When you talk about throwing on the outside of the numbers, he can't really make that throw. But he is, a good pocket passer. When it comes to throwing over the middle, as I just mentioned, outside the numbers is a bit of a concern. But when it comes to throwing over the middle, he does a great job of fitting the ball in tight windows. I'd say that the Vikings are a winner here, and also for their pick at number 17, I believe it was. So we'll talk about that soon. The Jets getting Olu Fashanu out of Penn State, offensive tackle. I love the Jets here. I don't have him as one of my 3 winners, but I really like this pick for the New York Jets. He obviously has had some injuries. He's not going to be a day 1 starter because the Jets have their offensive line figured out, but he probably will be playing behind one of the better offensive tackles in the NFL, Tyron Smith, when healthy. The only problem is Tyron Smith is never healthy. I really like this pick if you are the New York Jets. Not really much to say here. One of the better, pass blockers in the NFL, and you're going to need that for Aaron Rodgers, who's 40 years old, going to be throwing the ball probably a lot in the pocket. I can't see him going out of the pocket at 40 years old that much, so I really like this pick for the New York Jets. Number 11, the Broncos taking Bo Nix, quarterback out of Oregon. Listen, you needed something to, give a level of confidence to your fan base. Do I believe it was the best option? No, I thought they should have went Jared Verse, defensive end out of FSU. I'm not that excited about this pick in my opinion because if Bo Nix is the day 1 starter, you're just going to ruin him by throwing him into a terrible situation with basically 1 wide receiver, no run game, no offensive line, no defense. I understand you only have Jarrett Stidham and Zach Wilson as your top quarterbacks. This just doesn't make that much sense to me. I think this is a reach. I didn't even have Bo Nix in my first round. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of this pick if I am the Denver Broncos. Number 13, a bit of a reach in my opinion. If you are the Las Vegas Raiders, all the quarterbacks went off the board. I thought they were for sure going to go corner, but they end up going Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia. Listen, Brock Bowers, one of the best playmakers in this draft. Obviously the number 1 tight end in this draft. He does everything well. He can block, he can receive, but they just drafted Michael Mayer last year, who was a very, very good tight end at Notre Dame, one of the best tight ends in last year's draft class. I thought this was a bit of a shocker, but when you're talking about, possibly Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell starting next season, they do need as much playmakers as possible. Brock Bowers now going to be one of those guys. I think that this is a decent pick. Would I have went corner? Probably. I would rather, try and fix up that secondary that is iffy, if you really want to say that. But yeah, not a bad pick at all. Number 14, the Saints taking offensive tackle out of Oregon State, Talisi Fuga, I think. I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name. I have the Saints as one of my losers. I do not like this pick. This guy's out of Oregon State, 6'6", 324. He's a good run blocker, but how much are the Saints really going to be running the ball without Alvin Kamara looking like the Alvin Kamara of old? The Saints have a lot of problems at offensive line, but the Saints have problems everywhere on the field. I personally would have went Byron Murphy out of Texas, one of the best run stoppers in the NFL. The Saints were top 5 in rushing yards allowed last season, so you definitely need something to fix that up. You obviously want some, You want some pass protectors for Derek Carr. But this guy's a run blocker. This guy's not a pass defender. It doesn't make that much sense. He only allowed 1 sack in his college career. I'm reading the stats right here. But at the end of the day, this guy's not that special. He played, how many good pass rushers except for Latu came out of the Pac-12? Not much going on. Now, here is Latu. He got picked by the Colts out of UCLA, one of the best edge rushers in this draft. I am a big fan of this pick if I am the Indianapolis Colts fans. This guy is great off the edge. He can do everything. The Colts definitely needed him. You don't know how long DeForest Buckner's going to be sticking around, so you definitely need him. He is very explosive. In the past 2 seasons, 23.5 sacks. This guy can use it. This guy is very, very fast. And we talk about speed rushing in the NFL nowadays. That's what you need. And you can use he's very good with his hands. That's what I really like about him. He's very good with his hands. Incredible footwork. Doesn't have the biggest power in the draft. Obviously, some injuries are going to be are concerning. But those were a few years ago. So, not much to say about there. I think this pick was incredible. Next, Byron Murphy being taken at number 16 overall by the Seattle Seahawks. This is a good pick. I would have went corner, and because you lost some of your guys you obviously had to release some of your guys, so, refreshing with maybe Terrion Arnold, Quinyon Mitchell, that would have been a better pick in my opinion. I thought Quinyon Mitchell would have fit in very, very well with this Seattle Seahawks defense, but all right, I guess that really wasn't the case. This guy is a very good run defender, though, the best run defender in the NFL. I guess when you're talking about you have to face a guy like a Christian McCaffrey and Kyron Williams, you want to try and get rid of that A gap and make them run to the outside. It makes sense. I'm not saying this is not a good pick. I think this is a very good pick. I just personally would have went corner. Number 17, the Vikings take Dallas Turner, edge rusher out of Alabama. This is a great pick. They traded up to get him. Danielle Hunter left in free agency. Dallas Turner is absolutely incredible. Before offensive linemen can even get to their stance, he has them pancaked on the ground. That is how dominant and fast this guy is, running a 4.46 at the NFL Combine. This guy can move like none other, and he's very, very powerful, too. Like, when you look at this guy can just drop you. Very good hands, similar to Latu. I think he's a better prospect than Latu, but I think if Latu didn't have that neck injury, then, he probably would be a better prospect. I like this pick a lot by the Minnesota Vikings. They are one of my winners in this first round. Next, the Bengals taking Amarius Mims, offensive tackle out of Georgia. Listen, I don't think this is a bad pick at all. If I would have I definitely would have went with Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver out of LSU, because you don't know if you're going to be retaining T. Higgins next in the season. Most likely not. He has requested a trade, as well as Trey Hendrickson. So, I think that Mims is good, but I don't think that he's going to make an immediate impact. He was very inconsistent in in this last season of Georgia. I'm not the biggest fan, but if you're the Bengals, you're always going to need pass protectors for Joe Burrow. He obviously got an injury last season, and he has been hit a lot in his career, so it is what it is. Number 19 overall, the Rams getting a steal, in my opinion. Taking edge rusher out of Florida State, Jared verse. This is one of the best edge rushers in this class. A lot of these guys use their hands very, very well, and Jared Verse is no exception. Once again, speed rushing. That is what you need in today's NFL. That is what this guy does. I think that, putting him with Byron Young, you don't really, you're not really going to have that much success against these guys because, Byron Young moves to one side. You're still going to have to deal with Jared Verse on the other. I am a very, 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 very big fan of this pick. I think that this was a perfect pick for the Los Angeles Rams. He's also very good on the run. I forgot to mention that as well. Very good tackler. I really like this pick. Jared Verse, number 19. Number 20, Troy Fautanu. Very, 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 low pick for Fatu. I thought he was going to go a bit really higher, but the Steelers get a steal here. They get a good bargain on this. He's an offensive guard out of Washington. He can get upfield. He's very good in the run. Getting upfield is something that, you could always need as an offensive guard. We've seen guys like Jason Kelce being able to get upfield, and look what they have done in their career. Obviously, the Steelers need an offensive lineman. They don't really have that many great offensive linemen. They obviously picked Broderick Jones last season. There is a big need here if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers at the offensive guard spot or anywhere on the offensive line. I thought they were going to go Graham Barton, but it is what it is. He probably will be playing guard. Number 21, Chop Robinson being taken out of Penn State, an edge rusher. I thought that Latu was going to fall to the 20s, and then that would have been a perfect pick for the Miami Dolphins based off the way that their linebackers played last season. But I think this is a good pick for the Miami Dolphins. You're not going to have Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, and you lost Van Ginkel in free agency, so you definitely are weak at the pass rusher spot. But Chop Robinson, his stats don't really scream, early first round pick or mid first round pick. I think this is a good spot to take a guy like a Chop Robinson. Has a lot of potential. He doesn't have the biggest power, or a lot of power, but he definitely deserves a first-round selection, in my opinion. He can get off the edge. He gives a lot of effort. There obviously is problems with his hand movement and his power, but he does have the speed. He can disrupt the backfield, cutting inside, trying to get through that D-gap at times. So, yeah, not a bad pick by the Dolphins. Now the Eagles. I don't like it. I don't like it. I wanted Cooper DeJean. Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback out of Toledo. I don't like it. And let me tell you why. You pick this guy out of Toledo. What competition does he play against? My podcast partner Cole tried to show me a video of him locking down Marvin Harrison Jr. If you watch those clips, they're not impressive at all. I'm not going to break down the clips of what I saw, but they were not impressive. He ran a 4.33 at the combine. Unless you have a ultra great combine like Anthony Richardson did last season, that doesn't prove anything to me as a player. Did he do good in one-on-one drills at the combine? Sure. But once again, that does not, prove you to be a great player. People say this is a steal. I don't see it at all. I would have loved Cooper DeJean. This guy fits a lot better in Vic Fangio's defense. Is this the worst pick Howie Roseman has ever made? No, because, he's picked firemen in the past. He's picked Jalen Reagor, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Like, those picks have been ultra terrible. But this is not the worst, but I am not a fan of this pick at all. Obviously, the Eagles needed a cornerback, and I'm glad that they picked corner. Can he turn into a good corner if you develop him right? Sure, but I can't see it. He's going to be competing day one against James Bradbury. I think that's good to put some pressure on James Bradbury to know, hey, your job might be on the line here, and you may never get a bigger contract again. So, we'll have to see. Number 23, Brian Thomas Jr. being taken out of LSU, wide receiver. They just gave Gabe Davis a lot of money. I guess it's because you lost Calvin Ridley in the offseason, but you have two receivers that are under bigger contracts, that being Christian Kirk and Gabe Davis. Brian Thomas Jr., very good in the red zone, had 17 touchdowns last season. He did pretty well at the combine, 4.33, in the 40-yard dash. I think he's very good at going up for the ball here. There's obviously, there's really not much downside to him. I think he's going to be a very good receiver in the NFL. I would have went corner, in my opinion, but it is what it is. The Lions, they are one of my winners of this draft. They got Terrion Arnold, cornerback out of Alabama. When you're talking about the Detroit Lions, you lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson in the offseason. You lost Cameron Sutton, probably your best one-on-one corner. Now you replace him with Terrion Arnold, the best press man corner in the NFL. Does very good in the red zone. He a very good pass deflector as well. You also signed Carlton Davis and Robertson this offseason. I'm looking here on the notes that I have. Arnold definitely can be a number one corner in the NFL. I am a big fan of this pick. This is a very, very, very big steal if you are the Detroit Lions. I'm saying that they are a winner in this first round. Number 25, the Green Bay Packers taking Jordan Morgan, offensive tackle out of Arizona. Listen, now I don't want to say they're a loser because I think this is a bit of a reach of a pick, but Arizona, not much going on out there. If I was them, I would have, a lot of these teams need corners. You just lost Rasul Douglas. You might have signed Xavier McKinney, but, I would have went corner here. This isn't the worst pick ever. I thought Tyler Guyton would have been a better pick. Obviously, he's a bit inexperienced. This guy's a little more experienced, so he can come in there and not need as much work, I guess you could say. I'm not the biggest fan of this pick. Next, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking Graham Barton, center out of Duke. I thought that the Bucs should have went edge rusher, but since pretty much all the top edge rushers went off the board, you can fix up the offensive line spot. You just lost Ryan Jensen to retirement. This guy, Graham Barton, I think he does very well when it comes to getting upfield. He's very good one-on-one when it comes to defending defensive tackles. He's going to protect Baker Mayfield against those one-on-one guys. I think that he's a pretty good pick here. Not bad at all. Number 27, the Cardinals taking edge rusher Darius Robinson out of Missouri, who did not have a good combine. Ran a 4.95 at the NFL combine. I definitely think that the Cardinals could use him. I think any team could really use him, in my opinion, because of the fact that actually I forgot to mention the Lions traded up to get Terrion Arnold, so I forgot to mention that as well. But anyway, the Cardinals got this pick from the Houston Texans a couple of weeks ago. This guy can obviously play, edge rusher and, defensive tackle at the same time. He can really do anything on the field. Can he do it great like some of the other prospects in this draft? No, but can he pretty much do everything? Yes. So I think this is a decent pick by the Cardinals. Number 28, Kansas City Chiefs traded up to get Xavier Worthy, wide receiver out of Texas. Just Patrick Mahomes getting more weapons. Ran the fastest combine in NFL history, 4.21. This guy is obviously fast as hell. I don't think this is a reach at all for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that this is a very good pick. I had them at number 32 getting him, so I don't really think they needed to trade it up to get him. I thought the Bills were going to go with O'Donnell Mitchell. They probably still will go with O'Donnell Mitchell or Ladd McConkey in tonight's second round. They have the first pick in the second round. I think that Worthy, the fact of him going deep on the deep ball is going to be a bit of a bit of a problem. He's only 5'11", 165 pounds. You have a guy like a Hollywood Brown that can do that. I think Xavier Worthy's going to be more the guy to run those crossing routes. If you have 1st and 20, you're going to need him to get 10 yards, 10 to 15 yards back. I think he can definitely do that well. Now, that's not going to be his only use. He's obviously going to be a day one starter for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that this is a very good pick for the Chiefs because they obviously are going to need receivers. They're always trying to experiment, getting some more weapons for Patrick Mahomes. Not necessarily the best weapons, but getting him some weapons. So I think this is a very good pick by the Chiefs. Number 29, the Dallas Cowboys. They did trade down with the Detroit Lions, and they got Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. It's not the sexy pick, but it's the pick that needs to be made. You lost a lot of guys on the offensive line. Guyton does have some concern when it comes to, having, experience. Only started in 14 games, as I mentioned in my mock draft. He's going to be a day one starter, so that's my biggest cause for concern here. But he plays speed rushers very, very well. I have that in my notes. And that's what you need in the, speed rushing is what you need in the NFL. And if you can have an offensive tackle that can defend that, that's very good, which kind of makes him, probably an NFL level tackle guy who can come in there and make an immediate impact with a lack of, with a lack of experience. I think this is a very good pick by the Dallas Cowboys. Number 30, Nate Wiggins being taken to the Baltimore Ravens, cornerback out of Clemson. Was I the biggest Nate Wiggins fan coming into this draft? No, not at all, because he played at Clemson, didn't play against that many good of receivers and quarterbacks. If you want to throw Drake May in there, you can definitely do that. But Drake May did not have the greatest season of all time. I think that this is pretty good for the Baltimore Ravens. In my opinion, I would have went Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think he's a little more physical than Nate Wiggins has. I saw that, an analyst that I really like, Lewis Reddick, he said that he plays the Ravens way, lots of effort and lots of physicality. And if you really want to talk about that, I would have went with Kool-Aid McKinstry in that case. But this is definitely not a bad pick at all for the Baltimore Ravens. Number 31, the not the Baltimore Ravens, the San Francisco 49ers taking Ricky Pearsall out of Florida, wide receiver. I'm not too familiar with this guy. I'm kind of just reading the notes off of ESPN right here. And it says that he is, Pearsall makes adjusting passes to thrown outside. His frame looked easy, so one had snag against Charlotte, one of the most impressive of his career. So it seems like, he's pretty good at the deep ball, which Brock Purdy's not that experienced with throwing, so that doesn't make that much sense. I probably would have went with Ladd McConkey here if you wanted to go with wide receiver. Ladd McConkey's very good at going over the middle on those dig routes. I would have went with him. I had the 49ers trying to go offensive line, but all the better offensive line prospects are already off the board, so I would have went with Ladd McConkey here, but it is what it is. You could lose Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk. Apparently, they're being shopped around, so I'm not too sure. The Panthers taking Xavier Leggett, wide receiver out of South Carolina. Now, they traded up with the Buffalo Bills, who I actually have as a loser in this first round because you'll trade it down all the way to the second round. Obviously, you're probably still going to get your guy in Adonai Mitchell, but it just doesn't show a lack of wanting to win or being aggressive after trading a guy like a Stephon Diggs. Listen, Xavier Leggett, at this point, the Panthers could use anything, so I'm not going to be mad that they took him. Now, this really wasn't, Leggett's not the greatest prospect in the world. Obviously, it's South Carolina. He played it in the SEC, so he does have some experience going up against good competition. Not bad at all. I think he had a pretty half-decent combine. But you need anything if you were the Carolina Panthers when it comes to weapons, so this is not a bad pick at all. So yeah, that is my full analysis of the first round of the NFL draft. I obviously couldn't give as much analysis on the guys as I really wanted to because nobody wants to sit here for more than, 33 minutes or 32 minutes, 33 minutes. I've already been recording here. So yeah, we'll probably go over the second and third round, most likely not the fourth round. Now, I'm obviously not going to read out every single second and third round pick. I think I'll just go over my relative winners and losers of those rounds as well. So yeah, I'm always live tweeting my reactions to the picks. So if you guys want to go check out that, follow my X account at Ryan the Great RTG. The CR7 Podcast X account will most likely be having some stuff on there as well. So yeah, that'll do it for this video, guys. Make sure you guys subscribe to the post notifications on. Go subscribe to my brother Lynn the Great Vlogs. Make sure you subscribe to my second channel at Ryan the Kai Great. Make sure you guys go find me on X Ryan the Great RTG. Make sure you guys go find me on TikTok at Ryan the Great RTG. Make sure you guys go listen to the latest edition of the CR7 Podcast. Make sure you guys go find me on Twitch at Ryan the Great Podcast. And as always, Ryan the Great out. Peace.